G'day, cards! Welcome to episode number 22 of the Greencast. A podcast by me, Mr. GreenTexts, where I ramble to myself in my bedroom like a fucking madman, and then question how he has an entire channel where he speaks, when he constantly fucks up like this. Oh, man. So I got a couple things I want to talk about this week. One of the main ones was that that Alex Jones fella, he got banned basically off the internet at this point. Yeah, if somehow you don't know who Alex Jones is, he's that guy who yells about the gay frogs. And you know, that guy who regularly yells in conspiracy theories and whatever the fuck, and you know, the globalists, buy my dick pills. Yeah, that fucking guy. It's, I mean, there's a lot of people crying that, oh no, my free speech, where are the conservatives' voice gonna be now? And like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I mean, with this, I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest. Like, this cunt's been fucking spouting so much bullshit for this long, and no one's been like, probably shouldn't let him say that kids that died are probably crisis actors. It's probably not a thing that I should really say without any evidence, because maybe that happened last time. I mean, the cunt's literally going through a lawsuit right now from the parents of the kids who died in the latest school shooting, whenever that was. I've forgotten already, because there's that many. But, yeah, I mean, the whole thing of the people crying that this is, you know, it's hindering free speech. Well, I mean, all he is, he's banned off, I think, he's banned off Facebook, he's banned off YouTube. I think he's banned off a couple of major platforms too, which technically, well, I mean, they can do what they want because they're public platforms, and you can say whatever you want on them. But you know, the company then also has the right to take you off because they fucking own it and you don't, and it's not public domain. So, I mean, you're free to say nigger on there as much as you want, but people also have then the right to call you out, and then also, you know, fucking take you off the platform if they don't really like what you're saying. And then there's the whole argument that if Alex Jones is being taken off, oh, where do we draw the line? This is the first step into free speech and being silenced by the libtards and all that just goddamn cancer. Well, it's like, what do you mean? Like I just said, the guy spouted fucking just crazy fucking, like, conspiracy theories. And sure, some of them were, like, I'm pretty sure some were, like, proven right. But majority of them are just, like, crazy shit that he says, because he knows that people are gonna fucking see it, because it's fucking crazy. And he's gonna get more press from it. It's the same thing Donald Trump does. That's the whole reason why he got elected president. Because he'd say crazy shit, people would know the name. And so when they went to the ballot, they're like, I know this name. I mean, there's other reasons, but that's one of the major reasons, is like, no press is bad press. Or in this case, bad press can get you fired. Well, not fired, it can just get you fucking banned from the platforms that people use. But yeah, as I was like saying, like, no, it's pretty obvious. Like, again, most people aren't calling out that sort of shit, so, you know, Mr. Liberal over there, you're not gonna get fucking silenced as well, or any other conservative man. They're not gonna take your guns away, because Mr. Alex Jones went off YouTube. You'll be fine. But now, I mean, he's still making shit now. He's just confined to his own website now, so I guess if you want to see Mr. Jones yell about the globalists and buying his dick pills, you gotta do that over on InfoWars now. You're not doing it on YouTube, you're not doing it on Facebook. Yeah, but the thing that people were like worried about as well is because I think Facebook originally banned Alex Jones for 30 days, and then this happened, and then they completely just straight banned him. And a lot of the reasons were just like, oh, repeated violations of like our terms of service and shit like that. And that apparently worried people because they're like, oh, that's really vague. But yeah, I mean, again, fucking Alex Jones is like the most extreme version you could think of when it comes to like this sort of shit. It's like any other like fucking. I know there's a couple, or there's a good few other like far right YouTubers that are just like outright to destroy liberals and whatever the fuck and trolled epic style and that sort of shit. You'd be fucking fine, Just don't fucking directly call out someone like that, and you'd be fucking fine. Oh man! But like the thing that is funny to me about Alex Jones is that let's see if I can just bring up an article about it. But he had a legal battle ages ago. Oh, not ages ago. It wasn't too long ago. I can't remember what it was. Alex Jones. It was custody over his kids. That's what it fucking was. Kids legal battle. I'm sure I can find it there. Yeah, and people, his mother, the mother of his children, and here we are, public personalities. He was saying that he was a fucking nutcase, and he's not sane to be able to like raise a child and everything like that. When Alex actually just said that, oh, no, I'm just playing a character, that isn't actually me. And then literally on the next episode of InfoWars, he's shouting like, this is not a character, you think I'm fucking around and all that sort of shit. No, this is real, this is happening, brr. And then Judge is like, okay, well, I mean, you just went and turned around and said another thing, so bye. The mother's getting custody. So let me just quickly skim over this thing. What evidence was used against Alex Jones in his custody case? Although Alex Jones' wife sought to introduce a substantial number of media clips of her ex-husband's remarks, such as statements that Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax, and then his claim that police smoked seized marijuana to test its effectiveness, only 2 video clips were deemed relevant enough to be admissible. These included an election night clip of Jones, obviously inebriated, shouting, "The age of man is here," and announcing the intent to urinate on a tree, and a clip of Jones smoking marijuana in a state where he used the marijuana as legal, the first broadcast on a television show. So this dude just can't be fucking contained, and then the ex-wife is like, yeah, you're a fucking nutcase, cunt. You're not seeing the kids. And then the judge is like, yeah, fair enough. I think. Actually, I don't know. I don't think this had the. Oh yeah, here it is. Ultimately, the judge deemed that Alex Jones' ex-wife, was in the best position to dictate decisions about their 3 children, including where the children should live. And then yeah, that's this fucking. I think that's where I'll leave this topic. Oh, I just hit myself in the face with my own mic. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but keep in mind that people can also call you out for whatever you fucking say at the same time. Like, there is consequences for shit that you say. And I'm not saying just like, oh, he said nigger, so he must be fucking racist. It's like, obviously take into context of shit. Like Jones is just like outright just calling that shit out. Whereas like I'm reading a story, or like, fucking, slips out or whatever the fuck. Yeah, and I think that's where I'll leave it there. And then go into immediately the next topic that people love talking about, love me talking about, is guns. Ooh, this Australian shouldn't be talking about guns. Well, pretty much, I think I was talking about it last week. I talked a little bit about 3D printing guns and the legality and everything of it, but basically is I'm doing some work in the film industry and stuff with friends and whatever the shit. And because a lot of my friends know me as like the prop guy who 3D prints stuff and, you know, makes replica guns and everything else, which is legal in my state, I'll have you know. The law varies from state to state for some fucking reason. Don't ask me why. Yeah, people hit me up all the time and just be like, hey, do you have a gun that we could borrow? Or like, hey, can you 3D print me a replica gun that we can use for a fucking shoot? And I'm like, maybe. But, so now I'm starting to, like, amass a bit of a collection of, like, replica guns. Majority of them are, like, kids' toys that, like, I found on eBay. That, like, that you paint up and they look pretty fucking good. And the slider pulls back, you know, you got a magazine that you can put in and the trigger can be pulled. And then, you know, just don't load them with, like, the little fake bullets, and then you're fine. Which, I mean, you know, they fire, but they fire maybe about a meter. They're pretty shit. But that doesn't matter for me, in the context of what I do. So, basically, yeah, people, I've gotten about 2 or 3, like, the past 2 weeks. And so, there's a thing on a film set that's called an armorer. And the armorer is someone who provides the weapons for sets, and is also in charge of the weapons for sets. And he's also in charge of the safety for sets regarding guns and weapons and other bits and pieces as well. And so he obviously has to, you know, do a bit of safety briefing for everybody and, you know, watch the gun and make sure that the gun doesn't leave his sight and that no one steals it and then uses it for, like, malicious intent and that sort of shit. And there's a bunch of different permits that come around with that. Whereas, like, what I'm doing at the same time is also, like, that weird grey area where I don't need a license for owning a replica, but maybe taking it onto, like, a film set and everything else might be a bit of a different story. So I've been trying to do a bit of research and stuff, and I found the website on my local state where it said, like, armorer's license to need... and here's basically to need an armorer's license, I need a theatrical ordnance license, which is also a thing that you need for, like, film sets apparently. And so to need a theatrical ordnance license, I need a standard weapons license, and to get a weapons license, I have to pass a weapons safety course, which, I mean, of course I do, but yes, so it's like about 4 or 5 layers deep of licenses that I should really have, that I'm just gonna have to fucking fork out cash for, that if I really want. And don't be going fucking, like... Because I know people just could be like, oh, just move to America, well, you could just take guns. Well, it's like, I can fucking guarantee you, cunt, that even if, like, I'm in America and stuff, I'm gonna need at least 3 licenses to be an armorer on film sets and stuff, dude. It's just like a whole different ballpark of stuff and safety, and I mean, everything's like, yeah, it's down to me. Make sure shit doesn't fucking leave set, and people, yeah, like I just said, taking it and using it for malicious intent. Oh, man, I need a drink. Immediately off topic, but before I recorded the podcast, there was a guy that sent me a tweet. Apparently there was this random who's just like, hey, podcasters, please move your head away from the mic when you need to swallow. No one wants to hear that phlegm take its final journey. And then someone just, like, replied to that and then tagged me in it and just saying, Mr. GreenTexts, they are trying to silence our religion! And I just fucking had a good giggle at that. Because this cunt's gonna have no fucking idea what he's talking about. He's just be like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Oh, man. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, armory. But yeah, so that's the thing that I've been trying to look into. But it's also... oh, yeah, that's the fucking thing, too. So I did a bit of research to try and find a place near me that does a weapons safety course. There's actually a surprising amount of, like, gun shops near me as well. Which is, I mean, I had no idea. I mean, like, I wasn't looking for it, but there's definitely a lot more around me than I thought there would be, since, you know, guns are, like, you know, not as openly, I don't know what to say, because they're not banned. Guns aren't banned. It's just harder to get guns here. I think it's just like you need like a reason to get it, which is that's a whole nother thing too. Is like majority of I'm already fucking off topic. I'll go back to my first point. To do a weapons safety course, I apparently need my USI, which is a unique student identifier, which I have that, but I don't know what the fuck it is. So I'm trying to go on a website to try and find my USI. And I had to link another fucking like government account to it. And then I tried like 5 times and I kept getting an error, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. But also this place that I looked at apparently it won't let you use credit card or FPOS. You have to take on like physical cash or check, which is a little dodge. But at the same time, I think it's just a bunch of old people running it that just refuse to just digitize all of their shit. Which I'm like, whatever, okay. But in Australia, I think I've mentioned it before, to own a gun, you have to have a reason to own a gun. Which, majority of people, if you want a reason to have a gun, you just join a gun club. And it's like, oh, I'm at a club, so I need a gun. And that's fine. But I have a better reason, and that's that I work in the film industry, and I need to provide replica guns for people. And that's a whole different ballpark, and I don't know if that is a good enough reason to own a gun, which is like a whole thing that I'm also just gonna have to research now too. I hit up a fella that I met on a film set 3 or 4 weeks ago, who's worked on a bunch of other bigger productions, and I just hit him up just saying, hey, do you know any armorers in the States that I could talk to? And he gave me like 4 people with both their emails and like phones, so I just gotta like cold call them and just be like, hello, my name is this, I want to do this please, what permits do I need? So just gonna like, it'd be good to actually talk to like an actual person in the industry and just get what they're, or just, it's just good to like talk to them and just see what I actually need, because someone that actually works there. Because originally, like, my mum, she works with the police on like a volunteer job thing, and she knows like a lot of people in the local police station near me. So I just asked her to just see if I could get in contact with like someone from the police and just like sit down with them and just be like, I want to do this, what's the legalities of it, what permits do you recommend I need? Which that never happened. They just said, hey, here's the armory page, hit up someone from there. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's no help. So yeah, I'm just like, oh, why don't I just fucking hit up someone that's actually in the industry? So yeah, I gotta do that sometime as well. And we'll fucking see when that goes from there. So, your boy might be getting a fucking gun license. And then I can legally own a gun if I really want to, I guess. Real guns are pretty expensive, so I don't know about that. Also, apparently, the only gun replica that I can't make is apparently a submachine gun and a machine gun. Which I'm like, okay. Whatever. Literally everything else goes. Yeah, I think that's about it with like the gun licensing and like armory licensing and everything like that. What else did I have here? Oh yeah, so it's been a couple weeks, or like 3 weeks, I think, since it happened. But I never got to talk about, or like I kept forgetting to talk about, the whole James Gunn getting fired from Disney thing, for like all of his like shit that he said on Twitter. And I mean, it's kind of like a Count Dankula sort of situation, where, I mean, I'll start it out by saying that obviously James Gunn's, jokes, they were shit jokes. They weren't funny, but that is what they were at the end of the day. They were jokes. He's not a fucking pedophile. He doesn't touch kids and all that sort of shit. He was just trying to be edgy, as like we all fucking were at some stages. I can guarantee you, if you're fucking listening to this right now, you had a fucking edgy stage in high school, where you fucking, saying just the most outlandish shit you could, just for the sake of saying it. That's exactly what he was fucking doing. And the thing that's like boggles my mind more than anything else in the situation is the fact that there's no fucking way that Disney didn't know about this, because before he even got fucking hired, he addressed all those fucking tweets saying, hey, just gonna let you know, these tweets are out there. I regret saying them. They were shit jokes, but they were jokes at the end of the day. I'm sorry. And people are like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. But then it comes up like another 5 years... No, 2012. When did it come out? When did GreenTexts come out? Like 4 years ago? I think like 4 years ago. It must have been at least 4 or 5 years ago when he originally addressed those tweets. And then it was literally like he triggered someone... I don't know who it was. I think it triggered like some conservative cunt. And then they just went digging through his fucking timeline and they found it all. And James Gunn's like, well, I mean, yeah, I've already addressed it. And then Disney fucking fired him. And everyone's like, what? Yeah, they were fucked, but he addressed it already and you hired him before he said it, you retard. What do you mean? Oh, and then the update to that since then is that the entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy signed a massive statement saying that they endorse James Gunn and that he's a good guy. That's not the person he was anymore. He's was one of the nicest men that they've ever met. And now, Dave Bautista, who plays Drax in the Guardians films, is saying that if they do not use Gunn's script, because he turned in the script and then they basically fired him, if they don't use Gunn's script, he refuses to appear in the last film. And then gonna have to recast him with someone else. And then everyone's like, okay, good luck with that. But I mean, it's not like Dave Bautista's, he's not, what's the word? He's not struggling for money at this stage. I mean, he could just go back and do some fucking wrestling at this point. He's fine. I'm sure he's got some savings. I'm sure he can afford not to go to a Guardians film at this point. But yeah, fucking... It kind of worries me that, someone will just get so fucking triggered that they'll do whatever they fucking can to, like, get you fined or whatever the fuck. And I mean, I don't know if I've been pretty careful, I think, of what I've sort of said on, like, Twitter or whatever the fuck. And granted, that's half the reason why I'm trying to remain anonymous, is so I can keep this shit from, like, actual film stuff and everything else that I do. But even if they did find it, there wouldn't be any controversial fucking shit like that if you just look through my Twitter, I think. I'm literally just scrolling through at this point. I mean, it's just like, if they don't appreciate swearing or whatever the fuck, like, okay. But, yeah. I don't know what else to really say about that. Apart from just like, fuck. Oh, that's the thing that I wanted to say about it. Apparently, it's rumored that James Gunn is being eyed by Warner Brothers to potentially direct a film. Which, what does Warner Brothers own? DC. Fucking James Gunn could be directing a DC film. Immediately jump ship from Marvel to go to DC. Which really fucking excites me, because if I just look up DC film slate, immediately the first film that comes to mind is the Green Lantern Corps film. Which, just imagine, like, the entirety of the Green Lantern Corps. Like, that film directed by James Gunn. That'd be fucking dope, dude. That'd be fucking dope. What do we have here? Yeah, so Green Lantern Corps is probably one of the bigger ones. What was one of the other? Oh, that was another one. The New Gods film, which no one knows what they are, so that's like, it's basically another Guardians that you can do. Although it's like a whole other sort of thing. If you don't know what the New Gods are, it was a thing introduced in Justice League. But how do I even fucking describe it? I don't even really know. I mean, they have a connection to the Apocalypse, which is the war world of Darkseid, which I'm sure most people know who Darkseid is if they know, like, you know, Justice League and everything like that. But I don't even know how to really describe it. Just, you know, new gods of, yeah. I don't know. I haven't read any. I don't think there's any New Gods comics. You know, there've been comics or they've been in there, and it's like, I don't know. They could do some stuff with like Mr. Miracle, maybe, who's like, basically the like story behind Mr. Miracle is he was a son of the New Gods, and basically Darkseid traded one of his sons for the sons of the New Gods, and Mr. Miracle, who was one of the sons who grew up from New Gods that went to Apocalypse and was basically imprisoned, and then basically became like an escape artist and can escape from anything. And yeah, that's his thing, is Mr. Miracle can escape from any sort of like thing. But yeah, I don't know what the fucking film's gonna be like, dude. It's like, literally, right, I mean, we're just gonna go into a fucking DC thing again. Literally, the amount of films that have been announced that are in development is the same amount of, like, the entirety of the MCU at the moment. Like, it's just, like, green lighting stuff left, right, and center. And I mean, at the same time, I kind of see what they're doing. Because apparently, well, I mean, I think they realized what they fucking did. They renamed the DCEU to the DC Worlds, and so they will have a main continuity, but they're not too worried about it. They can make other films that don't follow that continuity, which is also weird because there's literally 2 Joker solo films being in development at the same time, which is that's gonna be fucking confusing, if not anything. And I don't understand how that fucking works. I mean, it's like, also there was the Jungle Book film, the live action film that came out like a couple years ago, and then what's his face? Fucking god damn it, Mocap Man from Lord of the Rings, and about it's on the tip of my tongue. Andy Serkis, yeah. Andy Serkis is directing another Jungle Book live-action film, but he also then renamed it to Mowgli. He's like, probably can't name it Jungle Book. But yeah, they're in development at the same time, and that was supposed to come out this year. But I think it got swept up last minute, just recently by Netflix, I think. Which is just like, you know, that was going to have a wide cinematic release, so much for that. Don't know what that means for the whole... for that, you know, the film. Could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. I don't really know. I assume they'd probably make more money if they put it in the cinematic release rather than just, you know, paying for it to go to Netflix. So I don't know. That's the whole fucking thing. What else? Oh yeah, fucking... So last night, I go to gym basically every night at this point, because... I mean, I'm not that active during the day, so it's just like, go to gym, get a fucking workout in, get some exercise in, and whatever the shit. And so I was there late night with my mate, and basically, we went upstairs, so, like, it's got 3 levels, to my gym, because it's 3-story. And then the 3rd level, it has, like, a little mini, fight cage, and then it has a bunch of punching bags and speed bags, and all that other sort of, like, fighting training stuff. And, you know, we like to go up there, and, like, only one of us. I've got a friend who's a 2nd degree Dan in Aikido, so he's the only one that actually has any training, but, you know, I just like to punch shit as hard as I can and not break my wrist. That's, you know, it's just, you know, something that I find really satisfying, and it's good to just get you out of your fucking system. And, yeah, I think, like, as I mentioned before, he's been showing me, like, actual, like, wrestling techniques whenever the fucking having a bit of sparring with him, and it's really fucking tiring. And it's just a good workout to get in. And so, there was him, me, and then also another friend who I go to gym with basically every day. And last week when I fought the guy who was actually trained, he's like, oh, to my other friend, like, oh, come on, your turn. He's like, oh, no, I don't want to do it. I'll do it next week. And so that was yesterday. I'm recording this on a Saturday. And he was showing them some techniques and whatever the fuck, and, giving them the rundown how to not kill each other, but, still, like, incapacitate them and put them in an arm bar or a leg bar or a choke or something like that. And then there's a guy who's obviously has some sort of training who's, like, doing fucking spin kicks and all this other sort of shit. And just, like, terrifying to watch. Because he just, like, bends the fucking sandbag with his goddamn kicks. And just, like, the whole, like, spin, like, roundhouse kick where he just, like, fucking bitch slaps you in the head with, like, his foot. Like, that sort of shit. And I watched him, like, as he's sitting down, like, having a bit of a break. I watched him eyeballing my friend showing my other friend techniques or whatever the fuck. Fucking goddamn Facebook, piss off. And eventually he just walked up to the cage and just like watching them. And then he walked over to me and he's like, hey, are any of those guys trained? And I'm like, oh yeah, he's this. It's like, oh. And then he went back and started watching. And then he's like, started talking to them. He's like, oh yeah, what are you doing over there? Da, 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 da. Oh, I need a drink. And then, yeah, he's explaining, like, oh, yeah, I'll do this, da-da-da. And then he started showing him, just like, oh, why don't you try this out, and da-da-da. And then he started just showing us, just, like, other techniques that you could use, and, like, arm bars and everything like that. And usually we go to gym for about an hour, most nights. We were there for 2.5 hours, because this guy just decided, like, he wants to show us a bunch of, like, this stuff. And then, like, the guy who was trained, my friend, he's just like, oh, I have a lot of trouble doing, like, these kicks, like, how do I do this? And he's like, oh, well, easy, you just, like, point your hips this way, and make sure you point your eyes that way, and, things in your peripheral vision, and then you lift up like this, and just started showing us, like, a bunch of these, like, tips and stuff for kicks, and, how to fucking defend yourself, and that sort of shit. And he was telling us just, like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, he was saying that how much of, like, a scam majority of, like, dojos and shit are, and he was explaining, like, a bunch of, like, the local ones, and how he went there, and he'd only just come up to the state not too long ago, and he hadn't been in any fights, and so no one knew him, and how he put these kids in this one particular place, and how shit it was run and everything else like that, and how he basically, I don't know. I won't get into it. But yeah, he basically, like, showed up everybody. Because he's like, oh yeah, I'll go in. And then just, like, floored all of the people that were running it. And he's like, okay, this place is shit. And he was saying just, like, yeah, like, no one's just, like, teaching for the sake of teaching. Everyone's doing it for money. And so, like, he said, like, oh yeah, whenever, like, you see me up here or whatever the hell, you want to spar or want me to show you something, just grab me. And then we're all like, fucking okay, dude. And so that wasn't how I imagined my Friday night to go. It was just, like, meeting a stranger who's just, like, willing to show us stuff if we fucking want to. So that's a fucking thing now. Yeah. Oh, shit. Alright, well, I suppose we'll get into the most fucking just autistic part of this podcast. And that is, of course, where I answer questions and topics from a bunch of you cunts. So if you want to send any question topics, life advice, any stories you might find interesting, doesn't have to be a GreenText story or some fucking random thing happened to you that you think I might enjoy, feel free to send it to mrgreentext@gmail.com. It's Mr. GreenText with an S on the end of that. Or you can comment on the community tab that will go up sometime next week. So I actually had a lot more than 0 emails compared to last week. It's mostly because in the community tab, I'm like, hey, if you want to remain more anonymous, just mention me here. So let's see. So the first one we have from, it says their real name, but this is the way to email. The first line that says, don't mention my full name, because, yeah, a bunch of you retards email me with your actual real name attached to it. So I'm gonna call you EB. So EB just says, I fucking love your videos. They're goddamn funny, make my day. I hope your channel gets popular in the future. Keep up the good work. Ah, cool. It's just just an appraisal thing. Yeah, cheers, dude. Yeah, I don't know, that watermelon fucking video that I did recently, I actually really fucking enjoyed, and that made me funny. Yeah, fuck it, I'm just going with that. So I got another email from a person called Horsey Horse, and he says, the subject is all I want to hear. Oh, it's, yeah. The subject line says, opinion of horses and the torture they were subjected to. The subject is all I want to hear. By the way, I work with the horses equivalent of the mafia. So what you say better be good or we'll piss in your Aussie toast. Just a horse / horsey horse. That's Mr. Red message. What do you mean by torture? Like the fact that we were riding around on their back and shit? I didn't give a shit. Did they? I don't know. Did anyone ever stop to ask if a horse really wanted to carry us on their back? I don't know. Do you mean like fucking people in China that eat horse? I'm sure they eat horse. I hear horse is okay, actually. I don't know. What do you mean by torture? You gotta give me some goddamn examples. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know. I mean, we don't do it anymore, so unless you're talking about some sort of torture that I'm not aware about today. I mean, yeah. I don't know what else to really say about that. Let's see. So, this one guy just led to email like 3 times. Oh, nope, sorry. Twice. He's just a retard and said the same one twice. The first one says, g'day cunt, in the subject line. And then it just says, g'day cunts. That's all. I just like it when you say that. Oh, man. And then the other one just says, who's your favorite YouTuber other than yourself? Favorite YouTuber other than myself? I think I've answered this before. I don't know. Let me bring up my subs for a second. Who's a person that I always look forward to when uploading? The Hacksmith is always a really good one. I don't know if I can pick up a specific person. Yeah, I love all the shit that Hacksmith does. Bit of a skim through. Lewis Spears and Luke Kidgel, obviously. Guys are legends. Man at Arms is always really good. Fucking nothing more manly than a bunch of men beating down metal and forging it into fucking swords. What else? Caltrop, obviously. I think I've mentioned those guys before. Good shit, good duo and dynamic and whatever the fuck. The Tested YouTube channel is always really good. Love all the shit that Adam Savage does. Internet Today, I love those fucking cunts too. What else? I mean, yeah, you get the point. I can't really choose a specific one, but there's just a couple of my favorites, I guess. Let's see. So another email from Cosmoso Andromeda. And they say, since actually anything is considered a gender right now, do you think that someone can identify sexually or not as a pen? As like a normal writing pen? I mean, I doubt it at this point. It's like, well, this is like fucking 70 or some shit like that. Of sexually identifiable like genders, whatever the fuck. And it's just like, I don't know. If you probably said that to some like transgender person, they'd probably fucking call you a madman. But I mean, at the same time, it's just like, that's just pushing it to the extreme. and it might actually get people to look at like the shit they're doing and spouting out themselves, and then you could just go, oh yeah, it's just the extreme. I mean, you could. People are fucking probably call you fucking mentally ill. I don't know why we've all of a sudden accepted, like, furries and people that believe that they were born in the wrong body and, supposed to be an animal, and why isn't that been treated for a mental illness. But, I don't know. It's a little harder to sexually identify as an inanimate object than it is to identify as an animal or another gender. Yeah. What else? Drink. Last question from the emails is from Mr. Music Man. And he says, "Hello, I'm here to suggest a topic for the next Greencast. I'd like you to talk about Alex Jones getting sued for what he did." Oh, yeah. I just fucking... I already talked about that, and I did not read these beforehand. Fucking hell. Alright, let's get on to questions from the community tab. Sort by oldest first. Cancer. Here's one. Havix says, have any components on your 3D printer broken, like a nozzle or a motor? Also, what's your favorite genre of game? 3D printer, like any other piece of technology, of course aspects of it are going to break down or just get worn down over time. I replace nozzles all the time on my printer because they get clogged up with excess plastic that gets melted in there and clogs it up. I actually recently just bought like a pack of like 10 of nozzles, so whenever they just get clogged, when I had my first printer, I only had 2 nozzles, and I'd try and I'd take it over to the stove and heat it up with the flame over there to try and melt out all the plastic and put it in acetone and try and melt it out. But now I just have a pack of them. It's just it's clogged, I'll fucking throw it out and put a new one on. I don't have any motors that have broken. Pretty hard to break the motors unless you're putting physical force on them. As well as just there's a thing that's called PTF tubing, which is basically what the filament plastic feeds through that goes into the nozzle and extruder that actually pushes out the plastic. Sometimes that'll get clogged too with just heat and just repeated use. Also, favorite genre of game. I really enjoy just open world single player games. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Assassin's Creed is probably one of my favorite game franchises of all time. I've been getting around Shadow of War finally, now that I've got it installed and everything. Made a Shadow of War sword too, as well, so that was pretty fucking cool. But yeah, I think just that open world, because then I can just, relax and just fucking do whatever the hell I want. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't, but pretty much all of these other questions are just completely shit. I don't even really want to fucking acknowledge them, because they're just garbage. I don't know what the fuck. I'm not even gonna read your name, because fuck you guys, but I'll just quickly skim through the rest of the questions that are there. The first one just says, am I truly first? Neat. The next one says, yeet. Then what's your sexual life like? Are you thicker than me? Is your hamster gay? Are you my dad? Did Alex do anything wrong? Is thickness hotter, liner, or exponential? Race war when? How about a recent ligament outbreak? Are traps gay? Do you hate loud chewing? Do you like porn? Do upside down photos look normal to your gay squid? What? Ever considered doing more of these scary stories? It's what do you mean? Hey, so what's your favorite sport? That's an okay question, I guess. I might even answer that one. And the other one just says, haven't learned shit, this feature is garbage, make content or shut the fuck up. It's what do you mean? It's what I'm doing, you cuck. Yeah, what I might do, I'll answer one more of these, because there's only another one other decent. And then last week or the week before, just answer questions that I didn't get to, or people commented after the fact. So Seed Hansel just says, "Hey, what's your favorite sport and what console and games do you play?" Favorite sport? I have no idea. I haven't played sport in a while. I used to play a lot of soccer. But console and games do you play? Don't own a console. Have a PC Master Race. And yeah, I already talked about games. Damn it. Why did I go to this question? I already talked about this. Fucking end my life, dude. Alright, so since I answered maybe like 3 fucking questions, because the majority of them were garbage, I put out a quick little thing on Discord, asking if anyone on Discord had any questions for me. Because hopefully, you know, that might be a bit better. And I immediately got a bunch that, like, I can talk about. So, I mean, join my Discord, I guess, if you really want. So I'm just gonna fucking read some from there, and we'll see if we can answer them. Booker Whore says, "What happened to that Tinder girl? Did you smash or nah?" So let's see if she actually... I know she hasn't replied. Because, I mean, I've already gone into detail on, like, how awkward the conversation was or whatever the fuck. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, after, like, the whole, like, "Oh, is it that mountain? And she's like, "Nah, it's this one." And I just said to her, "Hey, is the original offer still available, lol?" And then she just didn't reply. So nah, I just cucked myself and just fucked it. Didn't get ends or anything. Mincemeat says, "Why do people often hate Vegemite when they first trying it?" Well, there's a good fucking reason. It's because retards think that obviously the spread that's designed for toast, I'm gonna taste it by shoving a spoonful in my fucking mouth. It's like, yeah, what do you expect, you dum-dum? It's designed to be spread on, like, sandwiches or toast with butter. Of course it's gonna be fucking salty and rich when you bloody put, like, a spoonful in your goddamn mouth. That's why people often hate Vegemite when they're first trying it. Ranger Danger says, "What led you to do YouTube?" I mean, originally, before Mr. GreenTexts, I mean, everyone just wanted to be fucking PewDiePie. That's the main fucking reason. I think that's... I don't know if that's still, like, a thing. But yeah, I mean, you just wanted to fucking get in on it and, you know, be fucking internet famous whenever else the fuck. And then I made GreenTexts, and then low effort content got popular, and then it worked out for me pretty well. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole fucking thing. It's just, I wanted to be like that person, so I'm gonna try and make that shit, and then that didn't work. And then later on, I'm like, let me see, I want to do something. Can't find any of this specific type of content. I'm gonna make that. And that's how I got popular. It's because, one, I said the same thing last week with this other cunt that's like, how do I succeed on YouTube? One, find a niche that hardly anyone else is doing, and then 2, do it better, and then 3, do it consistently. And that's how you get popular on YouTube. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna call it there for this week. God, the questions were just garbage this week, to be honest. If you want to ask some questions that aren't so just like shit, that'd be good. Send an email to mrgreentext@gmail.com. Mr. GreenText with an S, or just comment on the community tab. Or meme me, I guess. But you're not gonna get featured. Bye.